put like a splash screen in, like a booting up the stream, like splash
Yeah,
screen, like
like a
you're
countdown.
well, not so much a countdown, but just like a thing so that I can boot the stream up, like on time, and then come in a couple of minutes later after people may or may not have trickled in. And
And also
that
people
would
that
that would involve me being some kind of a professional, which I'm not. I'm trying to be as far from like knowing what I'm doing as like at all possible. Lovely, lovely tea.
I never really played a wizard in Skyrim
Why are you playing Skyrim? What is this, 2011?
and 8 or 2011 and 15 and 16 and 17.
Like, the only one of those that interested me was the VR, because that could be neat, but I've heard it's, like, really bad.
Like yeah, because
I've heard it, like,
trying to do Skyrim on
Like,
a this on a PlayStation 4.
well, at least I don't need so many D20s this time. I don't even know what I need. Whatever. Sure. Do we even have an 8? Please give me 1 8. Come on. There's one.
Looks like everyone's using great axes.
Yeah. The weapons that I attack you with are determined by whatever dice I randomly pull out of my bag. It's like, oh, everyone's got great axes. It's like, well, this fireball's rolling 8d12. Sorry. But that's just what we've got available. We're I don't remember. I think I started to ask this, or I did ask it, and I completely forgot the answer to it. Did you guys give the letter to Wakanga when
No.
you met him briefly, or did you just basically be like, "Hey, we need to talk to you," and he invited you to dinner?
We didn't give him the letter because I thought that would be a sensitive thing.
Yep. I didn't think you did, but I couldn't remember, and I couldn't be
Because
asked
we
to
were
go
headed
back and watch
towards
my
this.
own stream.
We were headed towards the state anyways.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know you guys are. Yeah, you're heading there for dinner. Whew.
One thing I hated about Skyrim, and I still hate, is when you stumble upon a place, clear it out, and then you go somewhere else, and they're like, "Hey, you should clear this out." It's like, just did.
Well, I think we've got everybody here that's going to be here in the immediate future. Bones and Lawage are going to be late. Bones hopefully less so, because he's just putting his kids to bed, so that probably can't take too long. Lawage will be on sooner or later.
Stop digging out my leg.
20, 30 minutes. See, I've...
Real, Lawaj is gonna be an hour late.
Yeah. See, I was smart. Like, I found the secret now. I take, like, a couple of the, like, beat up old comforters that I use for, the old beat up comforters that I use to just, like, lounge around in or, like, watch a movie or something like that, and I throw them on my bed so that now the cat just lays on those and leaves me the fuck alone. I figured out the trick. Create the cat a really comfy bed, and she'll leave you alone.
I'm in my cat's seat, so that doesn't work.
I am my cat's seat, so that's the problem. If I'm not doing this, then she's just lying on me, or sitting on me, or connected in some way. Alright, so let's get started. Previously... Oh, it's still fighting this flu off. Previously on Dungeons & Dragons, the gang got themselves a dinosaur. so that they could participate in the dinosaur race. A kind of gimped, one-horned Triceratops, or one good-horned Triceratops. I added him in the named on the nose with his lovely flame paint job and his whatever weird red markings he's got. Jez, piloting the dinosaur through the race, somehow managed to squeak by with an ridiculous, almost not really a come from behind victory, but it was a big underdog win that nobody was expecting. Yeah, you were the longest of long shots according to the betting pages. Wacky, who decided to throw some money in on Jez's dinosaur, made out like a bandit. So, by betting on Jez, and doing so, you got an audience with a couple of the merchant princes. You got a chance to finally meet Wakanga Otamu and Ifan, the merchant prince. Where's all my merchant princes? No, that's a guides. Merchant
You've only
princes.
shown us Ifan and
Yeah.
the other one.
Wakanga.
You told us about a few of the others.
Oh, he accidentally.
Ifan Talroa, the Beastmaster. He was quite excited that he was the one that kind of gave you guys the deal on the Triceratops and kind of put you in the race. And he's quite pleased with himself. Be like, look at my friends here. Look how well they did. And then Wakanga, who you've been trying to get an audience with since you got here. He was there. You finally got a chance to talk to him. He invited you to dinner at his estate. Or I guess at his villa, I should say. It's a villa, not so much an estate. Very different things. You also, before the race started, you had a chance to save an old man from getting... He was getting accosted by some ruffians. Grandpa... I can't remember. Why can't I remember his name?
Grandfather Zatembe?
Yes, Grandfather Zatembe. There we go. He did sort of a... He consulted the sages and did sort of a divination, what he called consulting the guides, and told you all about a jungle city far to the south enclosed by cliffs and crawling with snakes. A black obelisk draped in vines. Like it was some kind of crazy vision thing. He said he dared not look any deeper than that for fear of what he might be shown. So that's been your only sort of clue forward so far. Was that last session? Lawaj had himself a bit of a run-in with the cops.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Lawaj got himself thrown in jail for causing a disturbance in one of the taverns. Got roughed up by some Zentarum while he was in there. You guys posted his bail in the morning, and he's managed to not get thrown back in jail so far. So, the dinosaur race has concluded. Jez has gone through all of his sort of pomp and circumstance. Got sort of paraded around. The dinosaurs... Rada, the breeder, who previously owned your dinosaur, you guys gave him back to him, or sort of sold him back to Rada, with sort of, the offer so he could, like, stud him out and take care of him, since you guys don't really have the means to keep a dinosaur. Although you could have rented the means, but you guys decided to give him back to his old owner. He's super happy with you guys. You guys basically put him on the map. So... that is the state we are in now. What would you guys like to do?
I mean, we're just gonna be killing time till dinner, right?
Well, we did need to go shopping.
Well, yeah, you don't really have that much time. You guys are basically ready to sort of head up there. The races took, like, by the time the races were over, it's already getting to be late afternoon.
Well, in that case, all I want to do is go to the docks where we landed and go to that fruit vendor and buy a whole bunch of that fruit.
What
The star fruit looking stuff.
I actually see it. That's another page I should have bookmarked. Was the I went right by the appendix with flora and fauna native to Chult. God damn, where are you? I went right by. I was like, I'm not gonna need this right now. I'll bookmark it later. God damn it.
I mean, it's only for a brief section. Very important to my character.
So you go, yeah. So you head down there. So you head down to the docks. You don't really notice the stand that you found before, but you do see a different fruit stand.
Oh no.
You do see that this one stand seems to be. They're selling. They've got some fruit. They look a little strange. They've kind of got this sort of reddish orangish hue to them. It's not really anything you've ever seen before. There doesn't seem to be a lot of people buying from this stand, and the stand seems to be of a bit more fancy constructions. You imagine these are more high-end fruit than what you're used to seeing.
So none of the yellow fruit that I had previously bought.
No, so as you approach, she introduces herself as, "Hello, I am NPC 45," and says, that's her designation above her head. She says, "These are rare dancing monkey fruit. Would you like one?"
I'll respond with, "Hello, I'm Lady Casapia Lorelei Gwendolyn Isabella Harpel of the Love Scandal Harpels."
Says, "You must be tired reciting such a long name. You should buy some fruit."
I was here yesterday, and there was a stand selling this yellow fruit. I can't remember exactly how it was described.
It was basically like a star fruit
Yeah,
of looking thing.
That's what I imagined in my head, but yeah, I'll describe the star fruit looking thing. You wouldn't happen to have any of that, would you?
She said, "No, I'm afraid I only seem to have. I only carry the dancing monkey fruit. Very rare, very special. 5 gold
What's so
apiece."
special about it?
Yeah, what's special with the dancing monkey fruit? Just hard to get? Or does it have magical properties?
She tells you that. She says that anyone that eats a dancing monkey fruit may find themselves driven with the urge to dance comically.
That could be amusing.
I say we should get some, and give
I
it to
will-
Lawage later.
I'll buy one.
Okay. So
5 gold? you said?
five gold.
Okay.
Like, as you kind of pick it up, you notice that the fruit's like very heavy, and like as you're kind of like grabbing it and looking at it, you can hear like a lot of juice like sloshing around in it. Like almost like a coconut. You imagine there's like just a whole ton of what seems to be like juice inside of it. It's like a big old gusher.
And I can hear the dance inside of it. Okay.
You know where we could find the yellow star fruit stuff.
She just kind of shrugs and is like, "You could try one of the other markets."
We'll have to look when we visit the big market.
Yeah, you looking up and down, you don't really see. You don't see too much in the way of sort of local fruits. You do see another stand that seems to have some berries. You see a few stands selling some fish. Now that it's getting to be sort of dinner time, a lot of these are not. It looks like quite a bit of it's been bought out for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So selection seems to be kind of dropping. You imagine like the busy time is sort of like morning and then through like the early afternoon. That's when probably a lot more of the fruit stands and that are here.
And the other thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to get an idea what the book that I stole in the Shadowfell was about.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that to me. Oh no, I'm dropping everything. Give me. So, you can read it. It is written in common. It seems to be. Oh, I know what it would be. It seems to be lore, like some kind of strange tales about the Raven Queen, written from the perspective of the Shatterkai. So it seems to be some kind of Shatterkai history book or religious tome, maybe.
Does Jez share that information with the rest of us?
I don't know. That's up to Jez.
Just muted.
I don't know. Would you want to know? Because I wasn't really going to share it, but I don't need. I'm not keeping it secret or anything. Like, if I'm looking at it while walking, you can definitely read over my shoulder and see what it says.
Because you mentioned the Raven Queen, and my sword is from the Raven Queen. Gives me information on how to talk to it. I may be interested.
I'd probably just be curious as to what you're reading.
Yeah, I'll look around, see if there's any mention of his sword in this book.
As you flip through, there does not seem to be any mention of Talon. I almost called it Thorn again. I don't know why I keep doing that. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any mention of Talon.
Well, there's no mention of Talon. It's more about the Shatterkai and the Raven Queen's relationship, and I don't know if Talon had anything to do with the Shatterkai.
So, yeah, it seems to be kind of like a history of the Raven Queen. Flipping through it, you learn that the Raven Queen was once a powerful sorceress. She was taken as the queen of the then, like, what used to be the god of death, Neril, who was an evil god, trying to use souls of the dead to rise to position as the king of gods. He trained her, and Neril had called her Nera, in the use of his power, gained from the souls of the dead. Until one day, during an uprising, she destroyed him. And, even though she was slain as well, she was able to sort of reconstitute herself and claim his mantle as the god of the dead. And she took the mantle of the Raven Queen thereafter and became a more neutral deity of death. Not something like Orcus or one of the evil death gods that wants to use the undead and that as like a means to, enslaving the living or destroying the living. She is more of a, like death as a natural way of life. In fact, like the undead, like disgust her to no end.
Yeah.
And you learn about You also see that when she was with Neril, her dominion was on the plane known as Pluton, but now her citadel lies in the Shadowfell, a massive castle cut from black ice and covered in fresh snow.
Well,
It's a place called Latherna.
I'll tell Pyro about Latherna. It's like, might be able to find more info there, but this is just a history on her. I don't think it'll help.
Oh no.
Where do
I
I put
know
this teacup?
I'm sure we also have no intention of going back. So
Yeah, there's also that.
What are you
I
talking
mean, you
about?
never know what you'll do when you're at, like, level 30. You don't know what your character will do, I should say.
I lost Jazz.
Yeah. I lost you.
Hmm?
Video.
Oh.
Now he's back.
Now he's
There's that,
back.
Okay.
accidentally clicked a bookmark when I went to like hit a different tab. Hate when I do that.
Oh, stupid coughing. It's like one of
Yeah,
those colds that like doesn't go away for like 3 weeks, so I'm really enjoying it.
I'll briefly tell you that it's... I already told you, didn't I? You
Yeah.
heard what I said, right?
Yeah, I heard you. Also, I
Okay.
speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will take note of that and I'll be like, interesting. I'm still using Talon by then if I even still care by the time we're level 30.
Wow. 20. Oh, so I forgot to send my tweet out. God damn it.
But,
So,
anyways,
anyways,
thinking,
you guys are technically
giving
down
this book as a
here,
gift.
sure.
unless you still want to read about it.
That's
A
all
gift
Pyro,
to
by all means.
To the Wakanda? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, because I figured he'd like exotic books. Like, oh, I have
Sounds
this
fun to
exact
me.
same copy.
I can actually get up and walk around now that I have a friggin' wireless headset again.
Hello.
Bones is here.
Howdy.
Okay.
Maybe if I just start eating these fisherman's friends like candy, I will stop coughing.
So,
Mmm,
yeah,
menthol.
that was the end of my digressions.
Okay. So,
Log on to the Roll20.
I'm assuming you guys are going to just start making your way.
Yeah.
Not so much up.
Downtown, quite literally.
No.
It's actually up.
It's kind of uptown, but it's also not. It's kind of west town. Because
Uptown?
this is
Well,
up.
you up.
That's west.
It's uptown because normally
Funk you up.
uptown
Funk
is
you up.
Well, it is an elevated
uptown is
section.
the
So.
rich
You up?
part. Shut up, Bones. It's uptown is usually the richer part.
So,
Downtown is commercial.
Hey, Roll20. I reset my router. My internet just didn't want to work. It's not my internet, it's my router. I have a shitty old-ass router. In fact, that's a good point. I'm going to buy a new router right now. That'll just save me hours of trouble.
So, you guys wander on over to outside the temple where all the merchant prince villas are before the long bridge that leads to the golden throne. I'm forgetting like every single place name now because of that stupid 1 week off. Being sick will do that to you. So, you head to the villa you were directed to. Outside of it, like outside the walls and gates, there are a couple of the same sort of mercenary-looking guards that you guys saw all throughout Golden Throne and that. They're just kind of standing there at like the front gate that leads to the little pathway up to the villa itself. And they just sort of ask you, like, who are you? What business do you have here?
We are meeting Wakanga for dinner.
He says, and you are?
Cass.
Yes.
Cass.
This is gonna get real quick. Lady Cassiopeia, Lorelei, Gwendolyn, Isabel, Harpel, the Longsaddle Harpels, and now dinosaur riding Rookie.
Champion.
Well, Rookie is a person that's good at the start.
So, you see the one of them, the one guy just kind of, that sort of is addressing you directly. He just kind of like cocks his head to the side as you keep rattling off names. Like he's trying to like take it in, but you can see he's clearly given up after like the second or third one. And you see him just silently turn around, like open the gate and like walk up to the house. A couple minutes later, he wanders back.
These goddamn nobles with their long ass names.
He wanders back, and instead of like going, like just opening the gate and coming back out, he pulls the gate open, like, and holds it, and like waves you all to come on in. Said, yes. It's like, make your way up to the main villa. They are expecting you.
Proceed in.
Oh.
So, you guys approach the front door of the villa. The architecture itself is much like all the other buildings here in Chult. That sort of like plastery, very tropical look to it. But this thing seems to have at least a good couple levels to it. It's a very big building, like almost like a big square. But everything seems to be much more exquisite. Almost like this is a small palace unto itself. As you approach the front door, the door, like as you all just like approach right to where the front door is, the doors, the big double doors, swing open on their own, allowing you entrance into the hall.
We walk in and be all
Huh,
like, I
that's
love
fancy.
automatic doors.
That's fancy.
Yeah, magic. Magic's cool.
So, you guys enter in. As you do, you see that there seems to be sort of little motes of flame, kind of just like hanging in the air all over the place that seem to be lighting the hallway and the sort of the grand entranceway
Yeah, those magic.
in front of you. This, you know what? The cough drop is not making it worse. Yeah, so you also notice a lack of guards, but you do notice sort of hanging on the walls, like in the entrance hallway, you can see that there are like very fancy portraits and like shields and crests and all sorts of things hanging on the wall, but there are also swords. But on closer examination, the swords do not seem to be actually attached to the wall. They seem to just kind of be hovering about an inch or two away from the wall, just sort of like hovering in place. And you see about half a dozen of them just in the entrance hall itself.
I'm assuming that's the security.
I'm just gonna be look at the rest of him, just like, guys, I want one.
You already got like 8 magical items. You're good.
No.
Wacky has all of them. I have like 2,
Eh?
my sword and my necklace.
Do not steal from the merchant prince.
I'm not
Yeah.
taking it. I'm
Gotta
gonna
keep an eye on Watch. He's gonna do it.
I'm not concerned with them.
Hmm.
So you guys also hear like a very faint sort of harp and viol, like very faint music in the background, very just calm and soothing. And why the fuck did I not put music in this section? God damn it. The things you think of like after the fact. But yeah, it just, as you sort of continue into the villa, the music neither gets louder or more quiet. It just seems to kind of softly be everywhere. Like he must have little Bose speakers set up like all over the house. He's airplaying that shit like from wherever he is.
Well, he's living in an automated home.
So, as you guys sort of step into kind of the grand hall, like the you basically enter in to a big round foyer. There are two curving staircases that lead to an upstairs. You have this gigantic domed ceiling about 40 feet above you. You seem to be in sort of the center of the villa right now. As you guys kind of reach this area and are like kind of looking around at all the opulence and the decorations, a servant comes out and says, dinner will not be ready for some time. Master Otamu is waiting for you in his library.
Okay.
And
Show us the
which
way.
way is
Give them
that?
your gift.
So it says, follow me. So he takes you up the stairs. The stairs curve around the perimeter of the big circular room that you're in. When you get up to the top landing, there is a large, fancy set of wooden doors right at the top of the landing, as well as a long hallway to the left and to the right. The long hallways lead to all sorts of other doors and chambers and that. But he pushes open the big double doors in front of you and just kind of gestures you into inside. There you find long rows of bookcases, like tall, like 15-foot high bookcases in this. Like the ceiling here is about 15 feet high. Like it is a peaked? No, not peaked. Vaulted ceiling. Yeah, the library seems to have a vaulted ceiling, and the bookcases all mounted into the walls seem to go all the way from floor to ceiling, with little wooden ladders propped up everywhere so someone can go up and down. Sitting in one of the half-dozen very plush-looking chairs is Wakanga Otamu. And as you enter, he beams at you and stands up and says, welcome to my home.
Thank you for having us as a guest, and I'll give him the book. Here's a gift for receiving us. It is a book we found in the Shadowfell.
So he kind of takes it and he looks it over and he kind of begins to silently flip through it. You know, you can see his eyes kind of darting back and forth, taking it in. He seems to be sort of speed reading through some of it. And he says, passages on the Raven Queen. Yes, this is a fine gift. You are very generous. Says, I will find it a special place here in my library. And then he goes over and puts it down on the desk. And he says, like, I was going to wait until after we had dinner and after we had a chance to get to know each other a little better, but since you have shown me such wonderful hospitality, I feel it is only fair that I respond in kind. And he goes over, and you see him walk over to one section of the bookcases that seems to have like a bunch of big, kind of musty-looking books. They're very plain, and like they don't look all that important. You imagine they're just some kind of encyclopedia set or something like that. And you see him just kind of like run his finger along the covers, like as he seems to be looking for a specific one, and he seems to find which, like, he goes to like the 7th or 8th one in, and then you see him kind of just reach through the book itself, and he pulls out a smaller book from inside it, as if the book that he chose was just an illusion. So he hands you an old, musty book. It's not very big. It's about the size of like a diary or a journal. It seems to be pretty waterlogged and tattered, and like it's seen. This thing looks like it's maybe survived a hurricane or something like that. Like it doesn't look like it doesn't look very nice. He says,
It's well traveled.
says this journal was brought out of the jungle 15 years ago. It describes a wizard's explorations of various places in Chult, but not in enough detail to locate them on a map. The unnamed author does, however, make many mentions of his only traveling companion, a shield guardian named Vaughn. So, would you perhaps have a map?
We do. Right?
Yeah, we do. Show
For
them
sure we
the
do.
map. We
So
do.
You guys pull out your map of Chult. I was going to use the other one, but I specifically need it for this. So he tells you that he sort of flips you through, like as you're kind of looking through the journal, he like kind of not grabs it, but he just kind of like reaches in and turns it to a specific page, and there is a sketch, like of a handmade sketch of an amulet, and he says this is a picture of Vaughn's control amulet. There are no clues to the amulet's current whereabouts, but if you were to find such an amulet, you would be able to control Vaughn, the shield guardian that accompanied whoever had this journal. And I believe, from what I've read and studied of this journal, that Vaughn would be located. And he points. I thought it would. He points to a specific part on your map. Oh, I know where to find it. It's on my map. Where's my map?
Everybody say, Ma! Ma!
See, the problem is, my map in the book... Oh, wait! I planned ahead.
Louder!
Ah!
But you're gonna reveal it?
Yeah, I put a star on the GM layer where... See, I've forgotten that I had done that. Think.
Oh,
Oh, Jesus.
that's.
That's not too far.
So
I mean, it's the closest location that we've heard about. It's roughly the same as Laughing
the same.
Gorge.
oh, there is even. I even labeled it. See, I knew when I hit it because it's very hard to see when I put it on the GM layer behind the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
I knew, like, as soon as I did it, it's like I'm gonna forget this is here, and then I forgot it was there. So yeah, he points to that spot on the map. He's like, I believe Vaughn is located here. The amulet may or may not be nearby. I do not know where the journal was found. It had passed hands a couple times over before coming to me, so I was unable to ascertain its location. But I'm hoping...
Is this the last entry in the journal?
Well, no, like, you can't really tell the last entry in the journal, because towards the back
It
is
just
where...
gets waterlogged.
That is where, like, the worst of the water damage is. Most of the information just kind of comes out of the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I
He's
guess.
like, I give this to you. Like, if your travels find you in these areas, perhaps you can find it and make it of use to you. And he just sort of gives you like a deep bow.
I'll bow back and I'll say I'm sure this will be very useful for us. I wasn't sure about the timeline of when we were having dinner, so I didn't give you this right away, but our meeting or our reason for being here, is actually this letter, and I'll give him the letter from Syndra. And I'll say she asked us to deliver this to you. Or
So he kind of like looks.
To ask us to send it to you.
Yeah, he looks at the letter, and he says, "Syndra Sylvain." It's like, yes, Syndra and I go back many years. She is an old and dear friend. Had I had known that friends of Syndra were coming to Port Nyanzaru, I would have sent for you upon your arrival. My apologies.
She probably would have came with us. If not, she's currently suffering the effects of the death curse as well.
It's like, this is terrible news. I have heard of this death curse that you speak of. There are not many yet who truly believe that it is something that has taken hold of our world, but I know many practitioners of the arcane arts, and I hear many things from all across the Sword Coast and southern Faerun, and I fear that this death curse is real and a very big problem. It's like, yes, I feared that my old friend Syndra would have succumbed to it, for she was once an adventurer like yourselves, and I do know that she has been returned from the dead on more than one occasion.
Then it's in our best interest to find
The
what we're
world
looking
of this
for.
curse.
So it's like, what information do you have? Do you know where it is and what you are looking for?
We
know it's
describe
here. We know it's here in
that-
Chult.
What makes you think it is here, of all places?
Well-
I forget.
Well, they didn't.
It was
I
the
don't.
book.
Did they
The
tell
book
us?
that we found in the tomb.
Oh,
before.
right, yeah. We found a Sararak's journal, and in it he said he was moving it to Chol.
Something he called the soulmonger.
I have not heard of this soulmonger, but if you are here on the behest of my old friend Syndra, then I will take you at your word. I have no reason to distrust you. He's like, what is it that you need from me? How can I help you? And where in Chult do you think it is?
Well, we did run into one of the grandpa guy. What was his name? Of wherever he is.
Grandfather to Tenbei.
Of the what? I forget what he was. I knew I should have written it
Savros.
Yeah, the Temple of Savros.
down. Temple of
It's
Savros.
just across the street, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. He summoned a vision, I guess is the best way to phrase it. And he told us it was a giant black obelisk, and there were a lot of snakes. We couldn't
In a-
really discern the location
He also said it was in a gorge.
in a gorge. There are many gorges
Or
there.
canyon. I can't remember his phrasing, but
He
Something.
tells you that, unfortunately, there are many ruins, many old cities and places on Chult. Plenty of places to hide something like this, but perhaps you are looking for the lost city of Omu. Omu became known as the Forbidden City. He tells you that that what the fuck is his name? Why can't I find Ubtao? There we go. Yeah, he tells you that the great god Ubtao, that resided over the land of used to reside over the land of Chult, and sort of bring his warmth and prosperity to all of its people. He eventually turned his back on Chult, but before that, he first turned his back on Omu, as Omu began to become a city of greed and hubris. It was basically the crown jewel of Chult. It was like the biggest, fanciest, most advanced city until it kind of destroyed itself, much as great cities do. He says that any maps or charts showing the location of the city of Omu were destroyed centuries ago. There are few who have any idea where it is now. It is lost to the jungles. If I was to hazard a guess, it is somewhere south of here, far to the south.
Well, we also have a lead on someone that can help us, or I should say something that could help us. A Naga in a ruins in the Hakla Gorge. Wow, that's a sentence.
So, he says, yes, I have heard stories of a guardian Naga, a seer of sorts, who some people have traveled to in search of knowledge and wisdom. Usually such creatures are terrible, evil, dangerous things, but apparently this one is benevolent. It's like, yes, he kind of tells you, like, the Chahakla Gorge is far east of here. Again, its location is... He tells you that much of Chult is uncharted. The jungles are a great, dangerous place, which is why so many cities have been swallowed up by it. Recently, the Flaming Fist have set up an encampment fort. I gotta actually get a fucking map out so that I can look at it. Because I keep referring to places that I don't have 100% memorized.
Yeah, there's so many, like, all over the place type knowledge, I think.
Tells you northeast of here is Fort Belluarian. There's way too many vowels in that fort name. No kidding. Fort Belluarian is was set up by the Flaming Fist, a mercenary company that answers to the Grand Duke Ulder Ravengard of Baldur's Gate. They have claimed much of the territory of Chult. I've got a fucking map like right here. I have your player map, in fact. He kind of tells you, he kind of points to it on your map. It's kind of hard for you to see, but it's the area It's the area northeast of Port Nyanzaru.
Can't remember how though.
He tells you that the Flaming Fist have claimed all of the territory east of the Mistcliff Mountains and north of the city of Mesru, which you can see, like, basically if you look at Kitchen's Inlet or Kitcher's Inlet, basically if you draw like a line from Kitcher's Inlet all the way left to the Mistcliff Mountains, it says the Flaming Fist has claimed this territory under their control. Unfortunately, even us merchant princes do not possess the means or the manpower to stop them. So we have a sort of tentative truce with them. We allow them to do what they like. They leave us alone, and we leave them alone. But it is only a matter of time before they push further and further into Chult.
Yeah, their type aren't the type to usually leave things preserved.
So he tells you that if this soulmonger is located somewhere in the forbidden city of Omu, you must find it. It'll be a dangerous journey through the jungles of Cholt, but I'm afraid there is not much else you can do. You must find someone who is familiar with Omu's location, which will be difficult.
Oh, that was the other thing. We'll
If-
need a guide. So we'll have to talk to your
Joe
friend
Ball.
Joe Ball.
It's like, don't worry. Let me handle Joe Ball. It's like, I will talk to him myself. I will make sure that he has one of his people set you up with some of the city's guides tomorrow morning. In the meantime, you are welcome as my guests. You may stay the night in my villa. Yeah, I have many rooms open for you to stay in. We shall enjoy a wonderful dinner. You can regale me with tales of your great adventures that has led you here.
Got to tell us about all the magic you use to open your doors and light your
The
hallways.
swords. How do you
and the
make them
swords.
float? Where do you find one of these? And can I get one somehow?
So
Why do you want a floating sword? Can't
Why
swing a
not?
floating sword.
he tells you that they are enchanted weapons. They are flying swords that I have enchanted to protect my palace. No doubt you have seen the mercenary guards that we merchant princes use. Chilt does not have its own army for us to rely on. We have to hire mercenaries, and unfortunately,
People can be bought.
well, that and the only reliable source of mercenaries for us is the Zentarim. They supply
I don't like that.
They supply the muscle that we use for protection here. So I am not one who overtly trusts the Zentarim, so I do not allow them to protect the insides of my home. I have many valuable things here that I do not wish to be damaged or stolen. So I have instituted my own guards.
We're on the same level with the Zentarum.
So yeah, he tells you, he just, he sort of like claps his hands together. He's like, well, come.
Oh shit, we're getting teleported.
Dinner should be ready by now. Come, follow me. You must all be hungry. Especially after the incredible race that you had. As he sort of like leads you down towards the dining hall. He kind of like puts his arm around Jez. He's like, tell me, you must be a famous racer back where you come from. To do so well in your first time here.
Ride horses. We don't race them.
So he leads you downstairs. Basically leads you to a huge dining room, basically directly below the library. He leads you downstairs through some double doors. Once you get inside, you find like the table's very low. It's only like a couple of feet off the ground, and there's just sort of big piles of cushions and that set up around it. And you see like all sorts of just big, soft, kind of couch-like arrangements of cushions around the table. He's like, sit anywhere you please.
Like
I will have my servants begin to bring in the meals. And you see him like snap his fingers, and one of the side doors to the dining room opens, and trays begin to sort of carry themselves in to the room. The trays seem to be kind of bouncing a little bit, as if somebody's carrying them, but you don't see anybody. They just seem to be floating around on their own.
Start talking to him about the advantages of miniature stables.
Did you say have miniature stables?
At Longsaddle, they have miniature stables.
Oh, okay.
That way they can save on food costs. They just have horses that get small when they go into the stables.
So
It's a weird place, I'm telling you.
he's like, perhaps when your adventure is complete and you have saved us all, you should bring this up with Ifan. But make sure that you ask for a healthy commission, my friend. Don't let Ifan, steal that idea from you and reap all of the benefit. And he just starts like laughing, like belly laughing, as you feel kind of, a couple of you feel almost like a phantasmal kind of force just sort of like kind of push through you, and as like trays of food, and you see like dates and nuts and fruit and stuff like that being put on the table, as well as like roast like legs of various types of beasts and birds. You see a couple like large like chunks of meat that look like they came off of some like gigantic creature, possibly dinosaur. You're not quite sure, you've never eaten dinosaur before.
I'm just like, is any of this dinosaur?
Technically, the chicken is.
Jez, give me an Arcana check. I'll give you advantage on it.
Like, awesome, +1.
Well, it's a good thing I gave you Arcana check, or good thing I gave you advantage on it. You believe that the trays are not, due to the sort of like bounding nature of them, the fact they're kind of getting jostled around and that a little bit, you believe that a myriad of unseen servant spells is what's carrying everything around.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Considering considering you have that spell and use it frequently.
It's the only spell I've used. I was going to use Copperhead Languages if that book was not written in English, or not written in Common.
Lucky for you, the Shatterkai speak Common. They also speak Shatterkai, but...
Have you seen the word count on Shatterkai?
But yeah, you believe that, probably half a dozen or so unseen servants are what bringing the food and refilling your drinks and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask him about the swords again. Just like, so are they just like any regular swords that you enchanted, or are they special swords?
He tells you, yes, they are, they are typical swords that I have enchanted, but I only pick the best quality ones to guard my villa.
Of course. What's the range on them? Like, how far can they go from the enchanter?
He says they will work anywhere in this villa and on the grounds of my property. But they are bound to this establishment. They cannot chase someone beyond its walls. If someone was to get a... It's like, yes, they are bound to the house itself.
Would they be bound to a person?
He says that it's like, yes, it's like if like any wizard can cast spells to create weapons that fly or float around and attack things.
Wish we had one of those.
We do. It's a rope.
No, I mean a wizard.
Oh.
Interesting.
He tells you that it's like, you seem like very seasoned adventurers. I'm surprised you have not come across animated weapons of attack along your travels. They're not that difficult of they're not all that difficult of magic to perform.
I don't think we've seen them.
You mostly deal with undead, it seems.
I will.
He's like, then you will
point to my
you will enjoy your stay here in Chult. There is many undead lurking in the jungles of
I'm
Chult.
sure we will.
I'll say this rope is not
undead.
just for show. It literally does not like to go in bags.
Well, it's like ever since
Since he smacked it.
yeah, ever since Amon smacked it, the thing's been kind of listening to you more than it used to.
Yeah, and I more or less would just have it wrap around me like a belt or something. A couple times.
Every once in a while, the rope kind of comes out and starts pushing like a date or something like that around, almost like it's hungry, but it can't it can't eat and it can't be hungry because it doesn't have a stomach.
Mm-hmm.
It's just almost the sentience is built up enough in it that it has the basic urge to want to eat something, even though it can't comprehend what eating something entails.
I'll give it something like a banana to hold.
So yeah, it just holds the banana. Once in a while, it bangs it on the table, like when it wants attention.
Yeah.
At some point, Wakongo Otamu is like, see, your friend here has a living rope. My swords are something similar. Except they do not act out on their own quite like that. If they did, we would all be in a lot of trouble.
This
He's
is
like, that reminds me, just to be on the safe side, you would do best to skirt around any rugs that you see on the floors of the estate while you're staying here. Just for your own safety.
I'm sure the path that we've been taking has been slightly meandering, and we just followed him.
Yeah, well, you guys haven't really explored most of the estate. You've kind of just gone in a straight line up the stairs into the library, and then like come down and like straight line into the dining room. There hasn't really been any rugs. Like you haven't gone into any bedrooms or like lounges or anything like that. And there wasn't anything like that in the library or in here. There's not really a place for a rug here. Like there's the
it's
table.
kind of amazing how much we went through Curse of Strahd and yet did not meet one of the 5,000 animated things in that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much animated everything in that book.
So, as you guys enjoy your nice fancy dinner and drinks, and probably the most relaxing evening you've had, as far as you can remember.
I mean, last night was pretty relaxing for me.
Yeah, I wish.
It's probably really relaxing for Louage too.
I don't know. He got punched in the face.
So Otamu tells you, so, is there anything else that I can do for you, my friends, before you set out on your journey?
I can't remember what guy is entirely in charge of right now.
In charge of spells and lore.
Yeah, he's in charge of magic and lore.
Oh, that's why I wanted to give him the book. That's why it made sense. Yeah.
So,
If we had
are
a
you
wizard, I'm
awake?
sure we... What?
Yeah, I'm awake.
Okay, just checking.
I'm sure if we...
You've been quiet for a while.
I'm sure if we
Taking it all in.
still had Dusty, we would have talked about spells, but we don't have Dusty.
So,
If he knows about lore, I'm gonna be like, what? So just how extensive is your lore knowledge? Just like, is it encompassing everything about Cholt, or is it beyond Cholt as well?
he tells you that I know many things about all kinds of magic. My knowledge of Cholt is maybe a bit more comprehensive than some of my peers, but unfortunately, no one can know everything about this cursed land. It's like, what is your question?
What about your lore knowledge on other planes? About other planes? For example, the Shadowfell.
He tells you, like, yes, I have heard of the Shadowfell.
He has a book on it.
It's like, but I just came into our book on the Shadowfell, in fact.
What I want to know is, what do you know about the sword? I'm going to show him Talon.
So, he looks at his spell list. Okay. So he looks at it, and he tells you that this came from the Shadowfell, did it not?
Yes, it did. That's where we found it.
He's like, yes. He tells you these markings, and he points to some kind of half-worn inscriptions on like the pommel and like the blade. This is a blade of a follower of the Raven Queen.
I believe it's named Talon.
Wait, does he know legend lore? Spells? Is that crazy?
He says, all I can tell you is that it is imbued with a sliver of the Raven Queen's magic. You know, it is an item that deals bitter cold and hates undead, much as Her Majesty the Raven Queen does.
Is he cutting out for anyone else, or is that just
Yeah,
me?
God
Okay.
damn
it's
it.
not just you.
So,
We lost you at bitter cold.
he tells you it's an item of bitter cold. But I'm probably talking low enough that I'm hitting the threshold on my TeamSpeak. He tells you that it deals bitter cold and hates the undead, much like the Raven Queen herself. And he hands it back to you.
Okay.
He says, "It is a very nice weapon. You should be honored to wield it."
I am, mostly.
Mostly.
He's sad
Mostly.
that it doesn't talk to him.
Like, I can feel some sentience from it. Like, I can feel something. But it doesn't say anything.
He tells you
Neither do your
that
swords do.
he tells you that many powerful magic items have an inherent sentience to them, but an item that speaks, that can literally speak to you, that is extremely rare.
Like, and I'll show him my sword. It's a bladeless sword, and it's sentient, but it only talks to me through emotions. Doesn't know how to talk yet. The baby sentience.
It's like, yes, like there are many powerful magic items that are as such. You know, in fact, there's an item of a sort that seems to be causing quite the stir in Chult as of late. A ring, carried by a man named Artus Cinder. Apparently, the Zentarum have been looking for him. You know, they are not overly secretive in their search, so it's, you know, news of it has reached even my ears, but apparently he's not the only one. I've also heard the Harpers and others are also looking for him to take this ring of winter.
You know what the ring does?
We know it casts non-detection on the guy.
Yeah, we
well,
know that.
I'll mention that we actually met grandfather.
The Tempe?
Zatembe?
Zatembe. Yeah, we met grandfather Zatembe after he was being roughed up by some Zentaran thugs. Looking for probably
The
him
ring.
to divine the location of the ring.
It's like, yes, the Ring of Winter has become quite the talked about item. like rumors of this ex-Harper and his magical ring have been fluttering about the city. Everyone seems to be wanting to get a hold of him and this powerful item. If it's got the Zentarum in this much of a commotion for it, then it must be quite significant indeed. I have, when I heard about it, it piqued my interest. Asking around and, reaching out to some of my contacts, I have heard that all I've been able to ascertain is that it is some kind of powerful ring that I've heard that it hides the one wearing it from detection, and that if you, like, any who wear the ring become immortal.
Oh,
That's kind of crazy.
I'm sure there is more to it than just that, but
Yeah, with the name of Ring of Winter, I'm sure it does something wintry.
indeed. Or perhaps its long life and its aversion to death may have something to do with your precious Raven Queen. Who knows? If you manage to come across it in your travels, it's like, bring it back, and we shall study it and discuss it.
Old and Death are very Raven Queen.
I've got a question, actually, unrelated to what we just discussed. Given that you are quite knowledgeable on magic, just out of my own curiosity, how common is the use of chronomancy?
Common is what?
How common is the use of chronomancy?
He tells you that I don't believe that is even one of the magical schools.
Well, altering
It's-
time, essentially.
It's abjuration, I think.
Transmutation, I think, last time we saw.
Yeah, transmutation.
Yeah, he tells you that there are certain pieces of the school of transmutation that have hold over time. There are certain very powerful wizards who can use a spell called Time Stop to freeze time for all but them for short intervals. But such spells are extremely rare.
I mean,
Very difficult to perform.
even smaller versions of it, like slow and haste.
That, he said, yes, that is also true. You are very astute in your knowledge of the arcane arts.
I know haste. It helped me get my studies done.
No haste. I don't
Okay.
use that more often.
Wait, you have haste?
No, but you have it, right?
No, I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
I'm addicted to haste potions, remember? Because I said that's what I used to get through my schools at my place. Where I live.
So
It's like Adderall.
he tells you that he's like, magical items and whatnot are a bit of a rarity here in Port Nyanzaru, but we do get the occasional thing. I have... there are a few vendors in the various bazaars and that who, have some of these items for sale for exuberant prices. I will put the word out so that when you are, if you come across one of them while you are restocking for your trip, you will find them a bit more reasonable.
Do we have a code word to give them to let them know it's us? Or will they know us by sight?
He says, I'm sure I will give word of your arrival to them. It's like, you tend to stick out. You are not very inconspicuous. We'll leave it at that.
In a world of outcasts, we stick out.
Something else that we were
Also-
meant to do. Just try to equip ourselves a bit better.
Also, you're like the champion. I think everyone knows who you are now. At least for now. They'll forget about you in like a week or so, maybe. But for now, you're kind of fresh on everybody's mind.
Yeah,
I'll be a footnote.
he also kind of like nods to Pyro, and he says, "It's like, yes, your friend there may want to rethink his garb
Right.
if you're going to be
Yeah.
moving around in the jungles of Chult. That as you if you think it's hot here in Port Nyanzaru, it is much, much hotter, much more humid in the jungles themselves. You will not get far in marching in.
Plate.
Where is that? Where are you in plate or no? You're in
Let
chain.
me, let me double check. Armor. Pain, yeah.
The only thing worse would be black plate.
Well, no, because you're in a jungle, right? So the jungle canopy is probably going to block most of the sun.
Yeah, true.
I'll
So
ask him if there's any sort of like heavy armor that's not
heavy.
that yeah. Well, not
He's,
heavy.
he just
Like,
kind of laughs at your question. He seems to genuinely think you're making like some kind of funny joke. He said, "You are an
A little bit
entertaining
more
bunch."
brief.
No, you are yeah, you are well versed enough to know that no, heavy armor is heavy for a reason.
no, I know that. I was gonna ask if there's a sort of heavy armor that is a little bit more breathable.
No, it's yeah, it's called leather armor and it's light.
I think he means something that's cooler.
No, because that's the whole point of heavy armor is that it's big, bulky, it's heavy armor. It's like right there in the name.
So
Um,
we'll have to get you a set of walking leathers so that you can still carry your plate for when we go underground. Or your chainmail for when we go underground.
Where
so
is
I'm gonna have
my...
to get like medium armor, whatever it was.
Is there like
Because
is there a distinction between medium and heavy as far as like marching in
I
the jungle
don't.
goes?
No, I don't think so.
Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep my -3, my heavy armor mastery perk.
Oh yeah. You're basically taking away that 1 feat.
Welcome to Chult. Yeah, no, heavy, medium armor, you'd probably, I think you'd be fine. I'd have to double check it, but I know it's heavy is specifically the case of whether or not you just die. Just, straight up die.
Like you just step out and you just die. There's no exhaustion.
Yeah, no, it's just
Out of bounds.
Yeah, it's you got to count down from 5 to 1.
it's like what's that skull thing floating over my head that's counting down? I don't understand. Navigation, dehydration. Oh, yes, no, medium armor, heavy armor, or heavy clothing. So basically, if you have not drinking 2 gallons of fresh water in the day, everyone has to roll Constitution saving throws for exhaustion. If you do not get your full 2 gallons of water a day, as
That
you're
is,
marching around
if
through.
you're not wearing light armor.
No, that's everyone makes those rolls. You make them with disadvantage if you're using medium or heavy armor.
Okay,
So you get exhausted way easier.
if we load him up with a beer hat, he'll be fine.
If you can keep filling the beer hat.
Yeah.
So Why did I put my book over there? Yeah, so Atamu, basically, you guys finish up dinner. He says, if you do not have any more questions for me, I shall retire to my study. I have paperwork and various other things to do. You are welcome to return to the library. Perhaps you can find some books relating to your things you are searching for, or you can relax and just enjoy the hospitality of my abode.
I'll probably go to the library.
Same.
I'll go as well.
We're just all going to the library.
So, you guys are going to the library. I'm assuming Bones is asleep, and Lawaj is not here, so he's just gonna...
I'm still here. I'll just go to the library with him, it's fine.
I'm surprised you guys didn't go sleep because you haven't got a night's sleep without the watch.
No, we
yet.
slept. We threw. Well, I went to jail.
Actually,
and then we went to sleep.
Pyro, you went back to the House of Repose. I was the only one who stayed there.
Yeah, I got a nice comfortable sleep in the same place you did.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Well.
you guys have no more questions for Wakanga. He goes and retires to his study. Leaves you to basically wander around the villa on your own. So I'm guessing most of you are heading up to the library, which is a shame, because if Lawaj was here, he would actually probably really want to go to the library.
Yeah, the librarian.
Oh well.
He
Sorry,
is
the
the
library.
librarian.
The
Well,
library.
he is the library.
So, Lawaj, seeing that he didn't really get a good night's sleep the night before, he goes and wanders around. Probably goes to, like, case the joint and see what he can steal. While you guys are all up in the library knowing Lawaj. So, I would like everybody to give me investigation checks. I guess everybody that's reading shit in the library.
There, I guess I'll
Have a
fart
negative
around.
one. Ooh.
A 1 and a 2.
With a negative
investigation
one.
check? Pull it up on my
I've
sheet.
been rolling very average.
So,
Hey,
That's
good
fine.
shit roll.
so
Why
you
is my
guys...
investigation plus 0? Oh, that was the plus. Never mind.
Yeah, each of you, you guys kind of go thumbing through books. Each of you are able to find something somewhat of use, or that you hope will maybe be of use. Actually, I'm going to read through these from here, because I can cut and paste them into the fucking chat. Oh no, what did I do? Oh, god damn it. I didn't mean to pop that toolbar out. How do I get rid of this toolbar?
In Roll20?
No, it's in Acrobat. I double-clicked something I didn't mean to.
Oh.
And now I'm lost. Ah, there we go. You guys have that. So we'll start with Pyro. Pyro, you find a book talking about Uptao, the great god Uptao. Come on. I have a bookmark. Thank you. So, you kind of peruse through the book, and you learn that Uptao was a central figure in Chult's history. He long protected the land and Chultan civilization, but he grew angry over his worshippers' endless warring and their reliance on him to solve all their problems. So, more than a century ago, Uptao simply abandoned Chult, and his influence hasn't been felt there to this day. When he left, the Chultans suffered a crippling spiritual blow, but eventually the disunited warring tribes learned to put aside their petty conflicts and unite as one people. To this day, the dinosaurs of Chult are still revered as Uptau's sacred children by many Chultans, even though Uptau himself is no longer popular. So, you learn that with Uptau gone, the Chultans turned to other deities, including ones that were introduced to them by missionaries from other parts of the world. Waukeen, goddess of trade, Gond, the god of craft, Savris, god of divination and fate, Sune, goddess of love and beauty, and Timora, the goddess of good fortune. You also sort of find a passage as you're going through it, saying that the great god Uptau used to love mazes. That if you ever happen upon a maze of any kind, trace a path through it, and you will earn Uptau's favor by doing so. As for the rest of you, I should have pasted that as plain text.
Oh, I spelled Ubtao with 2 O's. U at the end instead of an O.
Mm-hmm. So you also learn, one of you in your book find that Chult was once a playground for a green dragon. Her bones mark the location of a hidden treasure trove. Then if you travel to Mesro and head east across the Laughing Gorge...
You're cutting out.
Is it the same one that we've already gotten from Zolo?
Yeah.
I don't
I
really...
like it.
Shit.
Well, we got the green dragon in Mesro near the Laughing Gorge.
Yes. I forgot you... I didn't think you guys did have this one. I can't scroll up high enough to see those. Shit.
I can tell you which ones we got.
So... sure. Which ones do you have?
So, we also got a ruined city lies up the River Teth, past Kahakla
Yeah,
Gorge.
that one I know you have, with the Naga.
A turtle named Aramog lives in the Bay of Chult.
So one of you finds like a book that speaks of sort of winged creatures who live in a sort of a it kind of looks like it's got like a strange word that you think means like village or community, but like these winged creatures live together in a place up the Tiriki River. There's a stone spire to the east. Natives call it Firefinger. I'll just copy him. It's up the Tiriki River, about 5 days by canoe. You'll see a stone spire to the east. Natives call it Firefinger. Terrorfolk nest there.
That's the closest one so far.
You also learn
That's where the winged creatures live?
Yep.
You called them terror folk?
Yep.
That doesn't sound
These are
right.
essentially rumors, but I'm using them in book form. The next thing you find, one of you kind of, we'll say Bones, starts like kind of going through some like papers and notes and that, and you find something that, like a more recent letter that mentions, or like, they seem to, they're kind of older letters, like old mail. One of them seems to be talk of a Halruan airship. A Halruan airship called the Star Goddess that never arrived, that crashed somewhere in the jungle.
Oh.
So somewhere in the jungle there's a crashed airship And Ooptao, that. We need one more.
Do we know anything about how Ruin? Like, have we ever heard that before?
Yes. Give me a history check.
Everyone or just Jazz?
I'm gonna say just Jez because he asked specifically. So you know that that Halruans they were like an eastern race of humans, like from Halrua, like way to the east. They have ties to like the Netherese and that. You also believe that the Gleaming Endeavor, the airship that your friend has, the dwarf has built, Gadrin. Can't even remember the name of my own NPCs. All the cold medicine's making my head swim today. Yeah, Gadrin's airship, you believe it is of Halruan design. Like, you believe his ship is a Halruan airship that he built. So it's not like something he didn't just completely come up with the thing himself. He followed, like, a Halruan design, like, or restored a Halruan airship that he had found, perhaps. But
So we're looking for something similar to what we arrived on.
yes. So yeah, you imagine that it would probably look similar to the Endeavor. Maybe bigger, maybe smaller, but it would look a lot like that. And you know that the Endeavor has got a very, like, the way its sails are, the way the ship is shaped, It's got a very distinctive look to it. Plus, if you found a ship in the middle of the jungle, like in a tree or something like that, there's probably very few ways that it would have gotten there.
Except when this place is underwater.
Maybe it's like that submarine. Was that like the first Uncharted that had a submarine in the mountains? I think it was Uncharted. Feels like Uncharted. It's like that. Nazi submarine way up in like the jungle mountains. Same thing. I will say the last one, you find a bit more information on the city of Omu. So you find a little bit of history on the Forbidden City that tells you that Omu was once a jewel in Chult's crown. Built over rich mineral veins, the city garnered wealth and abundance. Omuan jewelry was coveted far and wide, and the city's merchants grew fat on commerce. To enter Omu, it was said, was to enter the gates of paradise itself. Such wealth brought greed. Omu's hunger for slaves made her rulers demand even greater tribute from her neighbors. When the vassals couldn't pay in flesh, they paid in blood, and Omu's feared legions marched across Chult. The Omuans' greed and hubris angered Ooptao, causing him to turn his back on Omu 200 years ago, long before he abandoned the rest of Chult. Omu's clerics lost their spells, and the city fell to sickness and disease. Slave uprisings racked Omu, and nobles fled in droves. Maps showing Omu's location were destroyed, and its coins were melted down and reminted. Fallen from grace, Omu became known as the Forbidden City.
Well, you can't have a place that cursed without there being curses.
So I'm spending.
Ooptao was basically a dinosaur god.
No, Ooptao was just a god.
Yeah.
Who may
He
have
just looked
created
over
the
this entire
dinosaurs. Like, maybe Ooptao's the reason the dinosaurs were here in the first place. You also would have found in there, I'll probably reiterate it better once I actually find, I can't remember the exact details of it, so I'll have to dig out where it is in the book. But Ooptao was also kept in check a serpent god. There is an evil serpent god who resides in the volcano.
The pillar of flames or smokes or whatever.
But no, like deep in, I think where's the Chult map? Yeah, the Peaks of Flame.
Peaks of flame.
Yeah.
That's
That
funny.
deep inside the Peaks of Flame, there is a serpent god, an evil serpent god that has been imprisoned there, and Ubtao is the one whose job it is to like keep him imprisoned.
It's funny that when I picked this subclass, one of the options for the patrons was Dendar the Night Serpent.
Oh yeah, it is Dendar the Night Serpent. That's who it was. When I was looking up the stuff on Omu earlier, it didn't mention Dendar the Night Serpent in there. I was like, damn it, that's an important part too, but I can't remember where it is. I'll just fill that in later.
Yep.
So, you guys spend the evening, and that is the information you're able to glean out of the library. After that, you retire to your rooms, and you wake up the next morning. A real-life servant, like a nice corporeal one, comes and wakes you up. You're treated to like a nice breakfast. And then after you're finished eating, he tells you that he says, if you return to Kaya's house of repose, one of Jobal's men, Azon. Says one of Jobal's men, Azon,
At the M.
will be there waiting for you, and he will set you up with a guide. And Mr.
Thank
Lord Otamu wishes all of you a safe journey.
It just occurred to me that we should have asked him about Resnisi. Oh well.
About
I don't
who?
know about Rasnisi.
About the dude that the snake people were working for. I literally just remembered it. It feels bad. Oh well.
He said
Guess we'll deal with it
Rasnisi
later.
won't be happy with you or something like that.
Guess we'll deal with it later.
So,
I wrote his name down. I don't know where it is. Weird.
It probably has something to do with the Canyon of Serpents.
So, you guys head back after you finish up. You kind of ask. They tell you that Wakanga has already left. While you guys were still asleep, he left early. Went to Golden Throne. Did his day to see people. So he's already gone there. So he's not here to see you off. But yeah, your well wishes were. He gave you his well wishes. Wished you a safe journey. You guys make your way back to the Market Ward, back to Kaya's House of Repose. There you find a man in similar garb to, was it Iban? The guy who worked...
Ebotet.
Or Ebotet, that's what it was. Yeah, similar to Ebo. Similarly dressed. You find this guy that he seems to just kind of be like impatiently waiting, like beside the front door to Kaya's House of Repose. You imagine this is probably your guy. He's just kind of, he's dressed similarly, like a helper of the merchant princes. And he's just kind of like leaning up against the wall, like tapping his foot, looking around. Looking at his wrist. He doesn't know why though, because watches haven't been invented yet.
And the sundial.
I don't think that was a thing.
Wrist sundial. He's just got an hourglass taped to his arm, and he's just like looking at it for some reason.
I guess we'll go up to him and be like, hello.
That actually wouldn't be a bad idea to have an hourglass that's weighted in a certain way so that it always hangs down no matter which way it's being moved around, and then you can count off the day.
Well, at that point, then you can just hang it from your belt.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So he's like, you must be the ones that Master Jobal sent me to escort to the guides. Planning a trip into the jungle, are you?
Yes.
It's like, well, do try to come back alive.
Well, that's why we're looking for the best.
So he tells you that he escorts you around, and he's like, there are 6 guides available right now. There are a few others who are just not even worth talking to. There are a couple in the fort with those people from Baldur's Gate over at Fort Bellurian. You know, some of our better guides have decided to set up shop over there. Less competition, but there are still a few good ones here. I shall introduce them to you. You can make your decisions from there. And he doesn't even really wait for a response. He's like, we should be off. And he just kind of starts walking in a direction.
Yep.
Like, you think that this guy, you get the feeling that he really doesn't value, he thinks that you guys are just like kind of a waste of his day. Like, he could be doing more important things than just introducing you to guides. But
Reminds me of Belgard.
no, well, Belgard at least
He's not annoyed of us
is in
yet,
charge.
so-
This guy's more of a lackey that thinks he's in
No,
No,
charge.
that
Like
would
a-
not worth his time.
He's like a butler.
Well, no, Belgard's just is because you guys annoy him and cause trouble. It's similar but different. So, the first person he introduces you to is a woman named Azaka. So, you're introduced to a Chilton woman. Where's my guide list gone? There it is.
Well, they're invisible to me.
No, I know, but I have different information in my book.
Well,
I have more comprehensive information. So, you're introduced to a Chilton woman. You know, she looks... That's the thing is, not only do I have more comprehensive information, I have their height and weight. So, you're introduced to
That's
a
right.
woman 6 feet tall and 150 pounds.
Jesus.
Towers over me.
Yeah.
He's the same height as me.
She's got a stern look on her face, and she says, well, if you need a guide to get you through the jungle alive, look no further. I was born in the jungle. I know its dangers well and how best to avoid them. Should you choose me, you may rest assured your party's in safe hands. I charge 5 gold coins a day and require a 30-day payment up front. For those adventurers who aid me in a personal quest, though, I will waive my fee and guide them to places no one else has found. This quest will take us to Firefinger, the evil Terra folk that roost atop Firefinger stole a wooden mask from me, and I want it back.
So the winged creatures are pterodactyls.
They're pterodactyl
like-
people.
I feel like if this were a video game, we'd be at the scene where each person would step forward, say their thing, and go back. And then every time we
Well,
selected
that's-
them again, they would step forward and say the thing again.
Yeah, so that's essentially what's happening. He's basically like taking you around. The guides are mostly in and around the market ward, like around Kaya's House of Repose and the other place that's I can't remember the name of because I can't remember anything today. But they're all kind of in that area because that's where foreigners would be.
Yeah.
So they all just kind of hang around like the bars and that, try and get business. He basically goes and introduces them all to you, and then like leaves you to essentially make your decision of who you want to. He's like basically not going to wait around for you to choose one. He's just here to like point them out to you, and then he's going to fuck off as fast as he can, so you can go do probably nothing and get paid for it because he's a government worker, essentially. So the next person you meet is another Chilton woman. She's a little bit older, she's like middle-aged. If you're interested, she's 5'6" and weighs 110 pounds. And she tells you, it's like, while the
remember how
lure
much I
of
weigh
pillaging the antiquity of Chult is a temptation, I appeal to those who find fulfillment in doing actual good in the world. I seek to rid the jungle of evil. There are many ruins and ancient temples that must be reclaimed, so that the spirits of nature can return to their sacred places and live in peace. There are evil impostors who seek to blind you with promises of gold, but will only guide your throats to their blades. My rates are standard, 5 gold pieces a day with a 30-day payment up front. A small portion will go to pay off Joe Ball. and the rest I give to charity. She says her name is Iku. I don't remember if I showed this to players. The next person, next you are brought to a pair of guys, Feral and Gondolo, a human man and a halfling. So they look a little, they don't look particularly seasoned, but they're offering themselves out as guides nonetheless. One of them, I'll say, Feral, steps forward and says, "Why pay for one guide when you can have two for the same price? We have the smarts, the goods, and our own Triceratops. Treasure abounds. When we're done leading you to all the ancient sites and sacred places that we know of, you'll be swimming in golden magic. All the other guides will lead you in circles and make you do all the work. Don't be fooled. When we return to Port Nyanzaru, you will have tales and fortunes enough to last a lifetime. Our price is 5 gold pieces a day, with a 30-day payment up front." You're starting to get like a trend of that seems to be the standard rate for guides. Mm-hmm. "But we're glad to reduce our rate for equal shares of any treasure found." Next. Oh, in case you were wondering, Feral is 5'10" and 175 pounds, and Gondolo is 3'6" and 80 pounds. Oh, I'm sorry. The book specifically states that it's 80 flaccid pounds.
What? That's gross.
I don't know. You got a problem with that?
Is he a gnome?
You got a problem with that? Tweet to Christopher Perkins. So, next, you're taken to a dwarf. The first thing you notice when you approach him, he looks kind of haggard and tough. He also is missing an arm. So, that kind of sticks out right away.
Or it doesn't.
Yeah. So, he introduces himself as Hugh Hackenstone. The freaking fisherman's friends are making it harder to talk, not easier.
I like
God damn
how
it.
you were about to hack when you said Hackenstone.
I know. So, he tells you that I've stood atop every mountain in Chult. I know every gorge, crevice, every plateau and trail. My memory is an iron trap. I forget nothing. Trust a dwarf, I always say, because a dwarf will never steer you wrong. Fearless I am. There's no dragon, beast, or undead horror that scares me. You want a guide who runs away at the first sign of danger? No, you want a dwarf. And I'm the toughest dwarf around. Red dragon bit off my arm, yet here I stand. Takes more than a dragon to stop Hugh Hackenstone. I charge 5 gold a day and expect a 30-day payment up front. Best coin you'll ever spend, I promise you. Next, you're taken to another dwarf.
All in like an infomercial.
They are essentially. So, the next person... Oh, and of course, he is...
But he's like 220 pounds.
No, you know what? He's the only one in here. He's the only one in the book that doesn't have a height or weight. Damn it. Wizards of the Coast, I want my money back. You can give me his height and weight. I would say he's going to be about the same as Musha Reeb here, who's 4'5" and 140 pounds. So he's probably about... he's probably like 130... Yeah, he's like 130 pounds probably, because he's missing the arm. So you are brought before an albino dwarf. He looks like a dwarf, just really, really pale. Who you guys, it's something you've probably never come across before. But he tells you, the jungle is my home. I know it well. I can guide you anywhere in Chult for a fee of 5 gold pieces a day. If adventure is what you seek, join my quest to reclaim Hrakhammer, my clan's ancestral forge. A volcanic eruption forced us to abandon it many years ago. The fire newts that have since taken it over must be driven out or destroyed. At the very least, we must sneak in and recover a relic known as Moradin's Gauntlet. The fire newts must not be allowed to keep it. If you love dwarven kind, then hear my plea and join me in returning Hrakhammer to its rightful owners. I will waive my fee for your promise of assistance.
Like that guy.
And the last one you're introduced to is a younger Chultan woman, very determined-looking woman named Salida, who is 5'4" and 120 pounds. She looks
Yes, my
a bit
wife.
younger than some of the other guides, but she looks pretty fit. She tells you that I've led many expeditions through the wilds of Chult. I know secret trails that appear on no map. Hire the others at your own peril. Azka and Iku have led expeditions into the jungle and never returned. Farrell and Gondolo are charlatans, plain and simple. Old Hugh suffers from mad monkey fever, I'm sure of it. Musharib is an albino dwarf, and they're not to be trusted. And I hear tell that River Mist and Flask of Wine owe money to the Zentarum. 5 gold pieces a day is a cheap price to pay for your lives. Spend your gold wisely. She would also expect to... You basically, after her spiel, like, your buddy Azon tells you, it's like, yeah, she still wants 30 days up front. He basically tells you, like, anybody you hire as a guide is going to want 5 gold pieces a day and 30 days paid up front. That's, like, the standard.
If we're back in less than 30 days, do we get that amount back?
No.
He tells you if you're going out into the jungles of Chult and expect to be back in less than 30 days, you probably don't need a guide. So, with that, Azon takes his leave. Asking around, you are also you find out that it is possible to head into sort of the old parts of the city. And if you ask around in, like, Malar's Throat, which is kind of the rough neighborhood outside the town walls, that's sort of the area that the Zentarum they've kind of got their foothold. That's where, like, the black markets and stuff are. There are possibly guides you can find in there that... Because basically every guide in the city has to pay Joe Ball. If you guide people without giving Joe Ball his cut, you will be imprisoned or beheaded. But you've heard rumors of guides that operate out of, like, the black markets that don't pay to Joe Ball, that, possibly give, like, a kickback to the Zentarum, or the Zentarum allow them to sort of operate in some of their, like, black markety areas. But if you guys are trying to... Yeah, if you guys...
Maybe best to start from here instead of
Yeah.
traveling there.
So,
and then...
you guys are free to sort of work out who you want to take with you. You can go approach any of them and, like, ask them questions and stuff, or haggle, or do whatever you want to do.
Did the first dwarf have a quest? The one with the missing arm?
Yeah.
No, he didn't, I'm pretty sure.
Didn't he say something? You wanted to... Oh, no, that was Mushroom.
Yeah, the albino wants to go clear out an area. This dwarf guy... this dwarf guy, he says, like, no, like, he's fearless and tough. Basically, there's also, all the guides are in the NPC folder.
Yeah.
So you can look through them if you want to. The human and the halfling, they have a pack. Like, they have a Triceratops. They have a Triceratops they use as, like, a beast of burden, like a pack mule.
Yeah.
I don't exactly trust those two.
You get kind of the...
Like,
You kind of get, like, the background story from Azon, like, as you're sort of heading from place to place. He tells you that they came here with the thoughts of getting rich and being cool guys, and they bought the Triceratops, but the Triceratops was too fat and slow to race properly. So now they just use it as, like, a pack mule.
Then what we
It's essentially what, like, everyone assumed would happen to you. You guys were the exception to the rule.
I'm sure they resent us if they watched. Did we?
I'm not crazy about those two.
No, they seem too green.
like the dwarf, or or there was a chick in there somewhere, like one of the earlier
The-
ones.
The first one I liked. The second girl I didn't like because all she did was turn everyone down. That's mean.
The last girl was pretty funny.
Well, all she said
Racist.
was
Yeah,
She said
she
it
was
was-
just
Her
racist.
her way of
Well,
selling
essentially,
herself
yeah,
is
you-
talking shit.
You had the big, tall, like Amazonian chick who basically said she was tough. You had the older woman who like gives all her money to charity and is like just wants to see evil vanquished. You had the younger fit chick who basically just trash talked everybody. Who instead of selling herself was basically like, these guys are all fucking awful. Why would you bother? And you have two dwarves. You have a one-armed dwarf and an albino dwarf. And then you had Buddy and his midget.
yeah. I mean, I know where my vote goes. Do we want to make a vote?
Your vote's going to Salida, isn't it?
No, I don't like.
God
I don't
damn.
like her because my character wouldn't like her because all she does is bad talk everyone else. I would
On
decide
the
so.
other hand, I love her. It's either Salida or Zaka for me.
Yeah, I go with Azaka myself.
Marita Zaka again.
She was also the one that was
She's the
like,
one that
hey,
wants to go.
she wants to go fight pterodactyl people
Yeah,
to get a mask that they stole from her.
Fairfolk.
And that's near Firefinger. Are we planning on going near there anyways?
It's pretty close. Like literally Teriyaki Village. Sorry, Teriyaki, not teriyaki.
Teriyaki Village.
Teriyaki Anchorage is right next to the river. Well, eventually it leads to the river that goes straight towards this place.
This tiny
So we
map is
can-
terrible.
We can get a canoe.
Excuse me.
It's the terrible.
I don't know. I like the dwarves. They sound cool.
Out for whichever.
Well, then we're pretty split, aren't we?
Asaka's not bad. Like
I
she's...
give my vote to Wacky. Wacky, you have my vote.
What
Oh,
did
That's not
Azaka?
good.
What did Azaka like? Was she carrying any weapons on her at the time?
So,
Like,
no.
I'm assuming based on her Amazonian size, she probably has something big.
Ew.
No, you did not see, and she not really was carrying any weapons.
Did she look?
You
strong?
saw, she does look like she was, well, she looked fairly strong. She looked more kind of tall and gangly. I mean, she's 6 feet tall and 150 pounds, so she's not
Alright,
like
sure.
super beefy. The only ones you saw openly carrying any weapons were Hugh. The one-armed dwarf had a battle axe.
Two-handed battle axe.
No, just a no great axe. He had a battle axe.
I know.
The other dwarf had a wooden maul, like the albino. The human in the human midget combo, he had a short sword at his side. And Salida probably had a short sword or some kind of like shorter bladed weapon. Short sword or a scimitar, one of the two.
The Hugh is probably going to be the only one who's actually useful in battle.
Well, I'm sure they're all just as useful.
Or just as useful as in you don't feel like you're really
body.
paying for combat proficiency as much as you're trying to pay for someone to help you not get lost and starve to
Yeah.
death in the jungle.
I was more along
Very
the
important.
lines of wondering, could they defend themselves enough time that we could take care of it, type of thing.
Yeah, well, you can also, give unless you guys get completely like ambushed, you imagine that like if you found enemies, you could have them essentially like kind of sit back a bit while you take care of it.
Yeah, so
You imagine that any of these like they're all guides. They're all like seasoned. They're like these are like the best of the best guides essentially that you've been shown. So they all probably know how to either keep themselves out of trouble or defend themselves. Either way.
so
Yeah, so you don't think that any of them are even like the older like the middle-aged woman. You don't really get the suspicion that she's going to be like a hindrance. You get the impression that yeah, she could like keep herself out of trouble if she had to.
she might be a hindrance in the don't break that pot department though. She wants everything to be saved.
Well, only if it's like a lawful good pot. Maybe if it's a chaotic evil pot, she might want you to destroy it.
Maybe.
Alright. Well, if your vote's for Azaka, then we have 2 votes for Azaka.
Too bad we don't
I
have.
was muted. Azaka seems fine. We can go with her.
Oh,
That's
we'll go talk to Azaka.
Yep. So you
Assuming.
You guys go and approach your towering Amazonian woman, who is probably taller than almost the entire party.
Or
Pretty
she's
sure she
taller.
is.
She's not taller than me. I'm the same height as her, but everyone else.
Wait, you're 6 foot something?
Yeah, I'm 6 foot flat.
Wow. But she's still like 6'1", isn't she?
No, she's 6 feet.
I'm
Six-
5'8".
Wonder if she's taller than Lawaj.
I bet she's taller than me. At 4'11". No, 4'10". You listing off that person was like 5'6" and 110 makes me rethink how much I weigh.
One of you is just sitting there with like a piece of string, like a marked piece of string, like measuring her height and like. It's like I'm looking for a guy that's at least a good like 5'10" or so. I'm like, yeah, will do.
Got down to 90.
Technically, we're down here. So,
So,
what
we would
you
like to
doing?
hire you.
We're gonna talk
Azaka?
to Azaka, and I think we're doing her quest too.
Oh, might as well.
It was an optional thing, but we may as well.
Help out.
I mean, she waives the fee, so
Yeah, may as well.
Get her.
And she tells you it's like, yeah, so it'll be 150 gold if you wish to hire me. If you're looking for my services. Wink
We
wink.
give her the gold, and then she gives it back when we complete her quest, type of thing.
And she tells you that like if you're serious about helping me, I'm very appreciative of this. It's like we'll be like if you're agreeing to help me, we will be heading like I will guide us straight there. And if you turn she tells you that if you like renege on it and are like, nah, we don't want to go there anymore, she'll basically just leave you in the jungle.
Yeah.
Just disappear in the middle of the night and just like leave you to yourselves. Because she can
What
find
do
her own
we-
way back pretty easily.
what are we expecting to find over there?
I
Other than
bet-
a mask.
I bet. Terrifying.
Error folk.
Oh right.
Pterodactyl.
Yeah.
She just described the way she describes them. They seem like pterodactyls, but people.
Think,
And one of you remembers reading something about them in a book.
Yep.
Or
they called them terror folk in the book.
yeah, it was written by it's like someone from Southern Chult. Like I am terror folk. Nasty.
Means they'll be flying. I don't have range. It'll be fun.
If you remember your Marvel history, there's a character named Sauron. Or Soren.
You also think that if they have wings and are flying around, they probably have to like fly at you to like attack you.
Yeah. They're not going to. I mean,
Unless they like
Are
shoot
they known
fireballs
to be-
out of their mouth.
yeah,
but-
are they known to be magic?
Hold on a second.
I mean, we can always focus them down, the people that can range, but
I was just curious if they were in Volos or not. Because then you get free info.
yeah.
I didn't think so. I'm pretty sure pterodactyl people is a fucking Cholt thing.
Yeah, I would have.
It doesn't hurt to check. So no, she tells you that
I know
they
the fire ants
are
are in Volos.
10 feet tall winged reptilian bipeds.
10 feet tall? Damn.
So they probably rely on their strength.
Yeah, she tells you that they typically, they like fly around and they swoop in. She says that they attack much like harpies.
Pick you up, drop you off cliffs.
And they also, some of them are carry around javelins to throw at people while they're flying around. But
Once they're out, they're out.
yeah, so they typically carry around javelins and pointy sticks, and
Besides fire.
they're
that
basically
means
they're
you fire that,
savages,
you can
except
throw it back.
they're savages except they're 10 feet tall and pterodactyl people.
I guess. Well, first we need to get the light armor. Then I was thinking, like, when we get near there, I'll switch back into my heavy armor. Then fight them.
Then
when
10
we're
minutes.
Yeah.
No. Well, obviously he's not going to do that like in the fight.
Done. Yeah,
Guys,
like
I've
before
changed
we
The
get there.
guys, I'm putting my pants on. Hold on. Okay, I use my action to continue putting my pants on. So she asks you. I was like, all right, when were you planning on leaving?
Tomorrow morning, I think.
It's like,
We
well,
don't have any other reason to stay another day, right?
Well, we need to get the armor.
Yeah,
oh
but-
yeah, she tells you that if you were planning to leave tomorrow, that you should spend the rest of today buying supplies.
Mhm.
Anything you think you will need. She tells you that, besides stocking up on like food and water and stuff like that, you should be buying at least one rain catcher.
Okay.
That's something she recommends. She tells you that you can get a rain catcher. They're £5. They cost. It's like you can probably get it for a gold or two. She tells you that Akinafa, one of the merchant princes, she's the one who kind of regulates the sale of them. But Azaka she knows a guy that can sell you them. Yeah, she tells you that it will catch 2 gallons of drinking water per inch of rainfall, and it can hold up to 8 gallons of water.
So we should get like 2 of them at least.
Yeah, and she tells you that it's like, yeah, marching around in the jungles is hot and tiring. It's like especially depending on how much ground you're trying to cover per day. But you can expect to go through 2 gallons of water each per day to continue moving at a comfortable pace. Any less than that, you're going to start exhausting yourselves.
And then normally yeah, we definitely need 2 then, because
Yeah. She tells you you can also stock up on things like insect repellent. You guys don't need traditional Chilton melee weapons. It's like if you think you're going to be traveling by water, you could pick up a canoe, but
well,
Well, don't we have to like go down the river to get to the Firefinger? What's it called?
hold on. She will actually let's go back to the big map because I I can't point at things on the little map. Plus, I can unblock a square. Firefinger. I kind of wish that all the other things were marked on this map. Is Firefinger?
Like I figured it was along this river.
Well, we learned
on the
that
down
in
the
library.
down the Teriyaki River.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Teriyaki River.
The Teriyaki River.
It's a little slow going because it's thick.
Yeah. Oh no. That's not helpful. Shit. Of course, you idiot. I opened up one of my saved images of the Chult map so that I could look at it, but it's the same image that I'm using for this map, so that was pointless. Firefinger is... God, there's no fucking hexes on this thing. Well, there is, but there's so... It's so tiny. It's actually in a spot on your map that... It is in a spot that is uncovered on your map. It's right here. How obnoxious is it if I put the nameplate on? Firefinger? Sure, good enough. Tint that one red.
So it's
Tint this one bluish for Vorn. Vorn.
No, we can't see that one.
No.
we do.
Yeah, well, you can see the...
We see the star, but
Yeah, you won't be able to see the nameplate. The
So
We'll make it pink. It stands out better. Yeah, so that this is where... She shows you on your map that this is where Firefinger is.
yeah, so if we do go by river,
So you guys
we won't
could
go away.
buy a canoe, travel by canoe, but she tells you would have to... sale of canoes is a different merchant prince that controls that. She doesn't really have any sway that way, so you'd have to go talk to the prince that is in charge of canoes. Gotta love this city. City's so fucking bureaucratic. It's awesome.
Well, you can still buy them, but they'd be cheaper if you talk to the guy first, right? Is that what they mean?
Well, no, some stuff is more...
Restricted.
like the stuff that's way more useful is like stuff like, especially canoes. The rain catchers maybe not so much, but especially the stuff that would allow you to go out and like go out on expeditions, because they want to control that. So it would be more like, oh, you want a canoe? Well, what are you going to do for me to allow you to buy a canoe, essentially?
Not true.
Whereas, like, if you just needed a backpack, like, yeah, you could go find that at a store, but, you know, a canoe especially would be more, you would have, she tells you that you would have to go, and, it's Ekinafa. It's the same one. It deals in weapons, shields, traveling gear, rain catchers, saddles, wagons, and canoes.
Oh, so that person is the...
She's the expedition equipment buyer.
Yeah.
But, smaller stuff, it's easy enough for you guys to buy. But yeah, if you wanted something as fancy as a canoe, you would have to go and meet with her and kind of petition your case, which you figure you could do. You don't know how long it would take you to do that. You don't know if she's in today, or how well you could jump the line with your newfound celebrity, or with like Wakanga in your pocket, but because you guys are who you are and sort of the impact you've made thus far, you don't think it'd be too hard for you to eventually get an audience with her, but it would probably delay you at least like a couple more days.
Uh-huh. Well, my only issue is if we don't have a canoe, are we going to have to delay ourselves to go around that entire gorge?
Well,
Or
she tells you that like the canoe is, it's a bit faster. It's not terribly faster, but it's got its own dangers.
I mean more about crossing the river. Is it something that you can cross?
Yeah, she tells you there are places in the river where fording across it is possible. Like there are parts where it gets shallow and like
Antic.
yeah, it's shallow and pedantic. But like any river, there are parts of it where it gets slower and shallower that you can kind of ford through. She tells you she knows of a couple places like that could get you to the other side towards Firefinger. She's not all that worried about it.
Okay, then. That was my only concern, is getting across the river.
Like, I figure if she really needed to get to Firefinger, she would know a way. Or if we needed a canoe, she would have one. Who wants to
The other
across
thing she
rivers.
asks you is if you guys have a charter of exploration or not.
A what?
A charter of exploration.
We gotta have paperwork?
Actually, yes. She wants to know if you have your paperwork or not.
That's amazing, because I didn't know we needed it. No one mentioned that we needed
Yeah.
that.
She explains to you that the Flaming Fist, who arrived here from Baldur's Gate, have claimed domain over much of the territory in the northern part of Chult. This all kind of seems familiar. You remember Wakanga telling you as much? And
Yeah.
she says, yes, they have laid claim to everything north of, from the city of Mesro north, and everything east of the Mistcliff Mountains. You can purchase a charter of exploration from them by going to Fort Belluarian. You know what? I bet you it's in my big long list of how to pronounce things.
Belluarian.
It is not.
That sounds
God damn it!
right, though. Belluarian.
What a stupid name for a fort. Fucking older Raven Guard. Guy's a prick.
Well, looks like
Yeah.
we gotta go that way anyways.
So she tells you that it's like, yes, anything found or pillaged from the Flaming Fist's territory, they claim. Like she tells you that if you purchase a charter,
It's tax free.
I think it is tax free. I don't think they take. I think you are fully. Oh, yeah, no, you still have to split the profits with them. But it tells you the charter costs you 50 gold, which is treated as a down payment on the split of the profits. And half of your proceeds and discoveries must be turned over to the Flaming Fist. She tells you that if you happen upon a Flaming Fist patrol while we're out in the jungle and you do not have a charter, you'll be subject to fines or incarceration. And she just kind of shrugs at you. It's like, depends on what kind of hurry you're in. I mean, I'm not going to be the one to tell you that it's not necessary and we can just try and slip any of their patrols we come across, but it's up to you guys. I mean, these...
Hey, on the plus
I
side,
guess
Pyro, not
on-
being able
on-
to wear heavy plate means it'd be easier for you to sneak.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
She just kind of shrugs at you. She's like, they're your countrymen, not mine, so their lives don't really mean a whole lot to me.
I mean, kind of invaded on your turf anyways.
So, essentially then, yeah, so it's basically up to you. You know what?
It's only gonna.
Oh, I did
affect us
drag you
until
guys
we
a
get
jolt.
below until we get below Mesro, and then
Yeah,
we
so
probably-
essentially, they've claimed that, like, everything above this line is theirs. And then, like, all along these mountains. They're like, yeah, no, this is our...
just barely,
like,
just
this-
barely Firefinger.
Kitcher's Inlet is the border essentially. Like, but like Mesro, she kind of tells you that like Mesro is one of the places that they've picked clean, the ruins of Mesro, or like that's what she's heard anyways. But
Does the
yeah, so everything through here they control. She tells you that they're like, yeah, it's up to you. Like we can spend the time moving up to the fort. She's like, it'll probably be a few days journey to the fort from here.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, looking at this map, just so you guys know, like every square or like every hex is essentially a day's journey.
Yikes.
Because
That's more
every
than
single
4
one of
days
those hexes is
Christ.
15 miles in width.
Look.
Let's say we get a boat across to here. That's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You
6.
could probably make
That's a week.
You can make a bit better time getting to the fort because you can just dodge the jungle. So you can move a bit faster. So you'd probably shave off at least a couple of days, like walking to the fort, because you're not going through jungle, you're just going through like open plains. But yeah, no, it's going to take you a few days to get there, a few days back. You might even be able to charter yourself a ship to take you like through the bay and over to the fort. Like there would be a dock here, and then be like a day's journey from there.
But then we'll lose money to the turtle.
Yeah. Yes. You'll have to pay the turtle. In fact.
This is a horrible system to get you in the taxes.
I mean, I'm not opposed to going up to Beleriand, because I don't
That
want to get in
charter-
trouble.
That charter, does it include bindings below their area of influence?
She tells you no, but like once you come back, like from your
They won't know that we got it.
yeah, it's a little
we
tough
got
to
it here.
prove. It's like, oh look, it's like look at all this treasure you came back with.
It's got a made in Cathakla.
Yeah. So essentially, when you like dump out, you find 100 gold in Firefinger, and then 1,000 gold south of Firefinger. It's a little tough to prove where the gold came from, because you might just lie and be like, no, I found it all in the south.
Yeah. So if we do it
It is-
by rules, we're probably going to have to.
It's
We have to
basically
get one
everything
anyway
in your
for the
entire
patrols.
expedition is going to be, you're going to have to give them half.
Unless we never return.
If it makes you feel any better, you know that your benefactor, or the higher up of your benefactor, Captain Belgard, his boss, King Oranthan, you know he's not, at least Pyro would know, he's not a big fan of older Ravengard whatsoever. So if you killed off some of like Ravengard's men, you don't think Oranthan would really mind much.
Yeah, but it's still kind
I'll say that to the party. I was like, well, I mean, Orin doesn't like Belgard. We can just, not,
Yeah.
But if we kill them, we get arrested. That's
If
something
if
I
you
don't want
leave
to
any of them alive.
happen.
Well,
I mean,
if
can't have any
they're-
witnesses if you kill them all.
It's also kind of just evil to kill your
Yeah, I
countrymen,
can't help
but
to be opposed to this.
Yeah, that's
just
that's why
just
I'd
just
rather-
giving you guys all of your options.
it's not
I'd
exactly
rather-
evil. We're just
It's not.
I'd rather
evil.
we take the time to get the charter
do it the right
and
way.
pay the taxes.
right away.
Wow.
Hey, if we get teleported out of here without paying the taxes, then who's to say?
We could just have like Gadrin pick us up on the other side of the island.
There might not be too many. Well, he doesn't have to land. He can just drop a thing.
We
Yeah.
can just fly across the island.
Exactly. Yeah, Flaming Fist does whatever it wants, including demanding explorers by charters.
It does whatever it wants.
It's easy enough to launch an expedition from Port Nyanzaru without a charter. The only risk is that if a Flaming Fist patrol runs into an expedition without a charter, it will attack the expedition and confiscate their gear.
Yeah, I'd rather
If
not
if
have
the
to fight them.
if they win the fight, to be fair.
Either way, that would be a drain
I don't
on
want to kill
resources.
people.
It'd be a drain on resources even if we did. I'd rather pay the gold.
Yeah, let's just get the charter. Fine. And then we'll just sneak past them when we on our way back. Because I don't want to give them any of our stuff. That sounds stupid. Because we're going to Firefinger to get her mask. And then we're going to have to pay tax on that.
But we don't have to pay taxes on the mask, probably. Just still do
Well,
gold
it's
and discoveries.
well, you would basically just have to pay like half of what the mask is worth if you wanted to keep the mask.
Wooden mask.
God, that's fucking terrible.
That's stupid as hell.
It's half of whatever the proceeds are, and any discoveries you get are also like 50% owned by the Flaming Fist. So if you guys discover some long lost ruins that are a huge cultural find and, you know, become super important and you become famous for it, Flaming Fist get half of that. I mean, it's a good business. Good business model they're running up there. I mean, say what you will about Elder Ravengard, but man, he knows how to run a business good.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I think we should just take the time to travel up there.
what's her
get a
face?
charter.
Azaka. She just kind of like shakes her head and just shrugs at you and says, like, well, if you're so adamant on going to the fort, your best bet is you can either, you know, travel along the coast, basically charter yourself a ship across the end of the bay here, and basically walk yourselves for a few days up to the fort, do your business, come back,
And then
or
pick her
charter
up.
yourself a ship to the outskirts of the fort. And she tells you that they do have like a wagon service, like a ferry service from the docks where the ships moor for the fort. Like that's where the fort gets their supplies and that. So there's like basically like a ferry service on wagons from there to the fort for like the day it takes to get from the shore to where the fort is situated. So that's
do
your
we
other
have to pay
option.
the
One, she says, like one way is easier and safer and costs more money. The other way is like longer and involves a whole shitload of walking. She tells you like either way, I'm just gonna wait for you guys here,
Yeah, I figured.
and I'm not gonna count this towards like, well, you guys are gonna do her thing for her, so she's waiting the thing anyways. But she's not really. She's basically not start putting you guys on the clock, or I guess putting herself on the clock until you get back.
Yeah,
She does promise to that she will.
be free.
She'll give you. She says she'll give you guys. She'll give you guys a 10-day. One, two. Yeah, she says that she'll give you at least a 10-day before she starts like hearing other offers for work. Basically, if you don't come back in 10 days, she's just gonna give you up for lost. And
For a second, I thought you said a tembe,
yes, a 10-day.
which I
That
think.
if that possibly could be something I would say, considering the naming structures in the area you're in.
Didn't we meet someone already named a tembe?
We did.
Yeah, maybe.
It's the old dude.
No, that's Zatembe.
Is that a tembe? Close.
Do you want to do our shopping here or see what they have up
Well-
at the fort?
Well, if we're walking, we need to shop here for water and stuff
Armor.
to do the walking.
You'll still need, if you're planning to walk it, you're still gonna need your rain catchers and that, but you don't really need to go like crazy big for your, like, you can do your expedition shopping.
The day we get back.
Yeah, like when you get back.
But we still need to get the armor.
Do we know how much the chartered ship would cost?
I'm
How
actually
long
just
that'll be.
trying to work that out. You could go find Zindar, the harbor master. The gold half dragon.
Half dragon or dragon?
You can book passage.
Half
No, half dragon. Way cooler than Dragonborn. Dragonborn are a disgrace. He's a true half dragon. Like some of the people you met in your last campaign. Some of the cult of the dragon people. Like the guy who killed Dado in like the first or second episode. Yeah, you guys can book passage on the Brazen Pegasus. For 10 gold a day.
How many days is the ride?
You know, it'd be real. Oh, I know why they don't tell me. They don't tell me because you can book passage on the ship to essentially anywhere. It goes 10 miles an hour, which you guys go, I think, half that.
Mm-hmm. So we would get there. Well,
So
so
you-
you do along the Endering Road.
Yeah.
Roughly 10
Do.
X's.
Take 4 days. Like, if it. Yeah, because it'll go like 1 there, 2, 3. You'll get there on the 4th day.
So it's not faster.
It's about the same.
Then let's just walk it.
But you won't get into gigantic fights and whatever else. Pyro could even wear his regular heavy armor if he wanted to, if you take the ship.
Is that
Either
worth-
way.
Is that? It was how much gold? 5 gold?
10 gold for the whole 10 gold a day for the entire party. Like
So
that's
it'd be
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
so it'd be 80 gold there and back.
Yep. And you might have to pay for the ferry. So that might cost you like
Plus
5 or
the
10
50
gold.
Yeah, plus the
for
50.
charter
Well,
itself.
you're paying the 50 gold no matter what.
And the 50 gold, it comes out of our taxes too.
But on the ship, you like food and water and that would be provided for you essentially. Like you wouldn't have to worry about trying to find your own or bring your own food and water and like have rain catchers and shit like that if you take the ship.
Well, if we can't walk the distance,
It
and
would be
manage-
faster than walking.
Hmm?
It would be like I would say based on like where it's going and the wagon would get up there, I would say it will get you there by the end of the 4th day you could get to the fort. Like if you book passage in the morning,
Oh yeah, 'cause
on
you
the
get
ship.
extra
Because there's
hex
going to be a
between-
yeah, because there's the hex between the fort and the shore. We'll say that by the end of the 4th day you will reach by the end of the day you will reach the fort if you take
and
the
it'll
ship.
probably be so.
It'll be 5 or 6 days.
Yeah. Well,
to
if
the
it's
fort.
6 days, we can't do it. We'd have to charter back.
You'll also have to charter yourself a ship to drop you off on the other side, or you guys would have to walk around through the jungle. Like you have to
Yeah.
find a spot downriver where you could cross, and then make your way up to the fort.
And then that would definitely take a day travel. I think what we should do is charter a ship directly across, walk up there, and then take the other ship the back. Take the expensive ship back.
Yeah, but the ship may not be there waiting for you. Like you could, if
Okay.
you charter the ship for the whole thing, like you can basically pay for the ship to sit there and wait for you to come back.
Just I guess we're gonna have to pay the gold and just ship thing.
Alright.
Everything else seems to be everything else.
You're cutting out a lot.
Oh, good.
No, you're muted.
I was hoping that was not just me. Now I've lost either nobody's talking anymore or I've lost
Nobody's
everybody.
talking.
Oh, okay. So, you guys taking the ship?
Guess so.
Oh, he's typing. That's what he was doing.
That's what I was trying to say.
His mic has gone all weird again.
And so,
Yeah,
fourth
that's
day
fine.
there, and you may want to like charter it for the extra day or so because you figure you may want, like, in case you get held up at the fort, you may want like a day or it'll be 90 gold, Jez. 90 gold.
User disconnected from your channel.
Oh, there he goes. Yeah, it'd be 4 days there, 4 days back. Plus, I'd call it a
One
day.
day in
Call it
the-
a day there because you're gonna get there at nighttime. So you're gonna have to spend a night in the fort, anyways.
And I guess we'll worry about the shopping stuff once we get back.
Yeah, you guys can stock up for your journey when you get back.
If we're
But-
taking the ferry to the fort, I don't need.
Yeah,
to
now you-
armors.
No, you're not gonna have to worry about any of that stuff going this route because you're not hiking through the jungle.
Welcome to
Like-
the jungle.
So, you guys go and charter the Blazing Pegasus, I believe I said. Yes.
Mhm.
Or the Brazen Pegasus. So, yeah, you guys get on board. You sort of prepay for your whole trip. You shove off after a couple of days as you kind of like get out of the sort of inlet that Port Nyanzaru's in, and you get into like the bigger open bay. You can kind of see off into the distance what looks like an island. Like you see this huge round island that's probably like a couple of 100 feet across. But it just seems to be sitting there like way out in the middle. And one of them kind of like points it out to you. Somebody on the ship does. They don't even say anything. They're just like elbow one of you and like, hey, look. And you just see this what looks like a 200-foot in diameter island just in the middle of the bay, which seems really odd to you. Then you see like one of the crew, like a couple of crew members, like that have like they got a big crate, and they kind of pick it up onto like the side of the deck, and then just shove it off the side of the ship. And you see the crate just kind of like bob around beside the ship. And
User joined your channel.
nobody seems to pay much attention to it. And
I mean, we heard the rumors about this thing in the bay, right?
Right.
I didn't think we'd have to pay it unless we went past the turtle.
well, everyone, like from what you like remember from the rumor that like yeah everybody kind of pays the turtle anyways. Like if you're not going like out in and out of the bay, it's cheaper, but it's kind of more like respect for the giant turtle more than anything else. Especially like all the sailors and that. They're like, hey, this gigantic turtle keeps us safe from pirates and shit, so we got no problem with that. It's probably worked into your charter fee, your kind of share of what they're shoving overboard. That's probably worked into the charter fee. So, yep, you kind of look back after an hour, and that like 200-foot island is just gone. And you're like, oh, wait, is that? Oh. So,
Yeah, guys, I gotta bounce.
Alright.
I
Okay.
will
I think we're ending
see
sooner
you
or later here, anyways.
next week. So, anything you need
man.
to do, just fill me in later. Alright, see ya.
So, yep. So,
User disconnected from your channel.
you guys
Remember when we said Lodge was gonna be like an hour late?
yeah. Yeah. So, you guys get to the end of the bay. The ship kind of parks a little bit offshore. A smaller, like a little rowboat takes you across. You're able to charter a wagon up into the fort. And eventually, you come to what looks like a typical wooden fort, like big wooden walls with like huge parapets, like made out of what looked like they were probably gigantic trees. The flag of Baldur's Gate flies over this wooden stockade. The whole structure sits atop a 10-foot hillock, and the sides of which are shaved vertically to make them steep and difficult to climb. The fort's main gate faces west, and on the east side of the stockade, a tall keep holds a commanding view of the surrounding wilderness. So, it seems very similar to what you, like, forts and that you would see back home. Like, it is very Sword Coast, very Western Faerun. This is not made by Chultan people.
Not colorful.
So, you make it to the front gate of the fort, and that is where we're going to stop for today. Just
Oh
be-
shit, who's got a full dungeon about that?
Yeah.
I was going to stop, like, at the fort anyways, just because it's going to be a shorter session or two until I'm completely over this cold, because the more and more I talk, the more it wears out my voice. I can hear and feel, like, the ability to talk decreasing. So, going to call it a little bit early today. Thank you guys for coming out. Next week, we will pop into Fort Beleriand, which I never expected you guys to go to, but sure, well, whatever.
We didn't expect to go there either. You're the one making us get
I'm not making you. I would... If it was me, I probably would just beat the shit out of the Flaming Fist. I don't like the Flaming Fist. Flaming Fist are dickheads. I would beat the
That
crap
sure
out of
seemed
them.
like the type.
But you guys wanted to go. You guys wanted to play by the rules, so you're gonna go to the fort, meet with.
Listen, we're good people.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are.
I can't fault you for doing things on the up and up. You might be able to find some common ground with these people. I mean, they're Northmen like you are.
I mean, personally, I'd rather them all be expelled from the island, for sure.
So, especially if you can kind of talk your way in as members of the Lord's Alliance.
I'm getting a very Spanish settler vibe from them.
Yeah, a little bit. Just because the leader of the fort is named Chris Topher Columbus. It's actually not.
And on this day, we discovered Chult.
Yeah. I mean, if Christopher Columbus found a place that was full of dinosaurs, history would have been way cooler.
We probably wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, probably not. Well, he's not alive right now anyways.
No, we would be alive.
Oh.
Because we'd be on the place with the dinosaurs.
We would be the dinosaurs. That's how that would work. Just
Yeah,
like
maybe it'd be a much cooler place.
like Super Mario movie. We would be like that. Just humans, but actually dinosaurs. So, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you guys for coming out. We will be back with hopefully a little bit longer of a session next week. Hopefully my voice can hold up for more than like 2.5 hours. But we will see you guys next time. Thanks for coming.